secret sauce. Can you talk a little bit about how do you go through your initial process? I'd love to kind of go through the process of a transaction from start to finish. We interface quite a bit, because here at Website Closers, we're bringing the biggest and the best online businesses to market. And from the point in time where you see a listing and you inquire, walk us through a little bit about the thinking, the process, and the valuation. And if you've got anything anecdotal that you can share that's beneficial for someone who's selling a business, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's the micro and the macro we both look at when we get a new business in. Macro being category, what does the category look like? What does the growth of that category look like? So doing a little bit of detail on the landscape and competitive nature of the process, what's going on in that category. Micro, digging a little bit more into the business. Obviously, the financials are key, and I think we're going to touch on that a little bit more specifically later. But also understanding, where they are in terms of keywords, where they are in terms of bestseller ranking, review counts, review mode is what we like to say. Where's the star rating? Where do they show up on the page? Getting into a bit more detail, understanding the nature of the business. And then we've obviously built up, as I said, a portfolio, or I'd say a database of just knowledge based on the deals we've seen. So benchmarking against margins, benchmarking growth for others we've seen in similar type of categories. So that's really how we start. That's, kind of a shallow dive to start. If it's something that we like, after going through all of that, we will bring it to our investment committee and talk through it. From there, it's really getting on, usually we have an hour call or so with the seller. Sometimes it's with the broker such as yourself to get a little bit more information on the business that's not necessarily seen in the financials, answer some very preliminary questions in the financials. And then depending on the deal, some deals, want an LOI before they give you more information. Other deals, we'll dig in a little bit more before the LOI, but ultimately get to a letter of intent where we will try to get the business under exclusivity so we can do confirmatory diligence. At that point, it's additional calls. It's understanding what, the ins and outs of the business. Our operations team gets involved, where our president and COO, our VP of Ops, our transition manager, our supply chain manager, all get on the phone to understand different aspects of the business. We obviously, on the M&A side, dig a bit more into the financials. We'll try to get a full grasp on the business, because unlike private equity where I used to work, we actually are taking over the business and operating. So we really need to know what's going on from that perspective. We'll have, a pretty substantial diligence memo before kind of going to a go or no-go decision. Then it's, hopefully pretty quick legal negotiations before we have a purchase agreement signed. There'll be a short transition period where we expect the seller to stay on and help us make sure we got everything down before we will take over and grow the business into our portfolio.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?